Since we're not performing, we'll have our faces on the screen. How's that? Hello.
I'm always happy to have my face on the
I
screen.
know. Me too, Brian. Me too.
That wasn't scary at all. This is one of the reasons I don't ever watch myself. It never happened if I don't see it.
It's like it didn't exist.
Right.
Okay, so the first big change, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, Brian, it is introducing some new characters after Everett and Stan are introduced.
Right.
Okay, so this is, let's see. I know I'm getting close. Page 17.
Yeah. Mortimer.
Okay, so we've already mentioned Mortimer and Miss Stapleton in our previous episode, but they were introduced much later in the script, like page 40 something. Now they're at page 17. They are customers who are patronizing the local general goods store. And they just have a quick exchange with Stan. And I think I like how I handled this because it's just very quick exchanges, but we learn, well, I won't say so much of their characters, but we give these characters just a little bit of character to hang our hat on.
So as we go forward, do you want, before we talk too much about this, should we just go ahead and perform from 17 to the top of 19? The bottom of 17 to the top of 19?
Oh.
Just so people can hear it? Or no?
Well, I didn't rehearse any of this. I thought we would just talk about it.
Well, you've got Mortimer's voice already. We just
I don't remember what I did. Oh, you know what? I do remember Mortimer, and I didn't do a voice.
It's all Renee.
It's all Renee, exactly. It's all me. One-man show.
Well, Rebecca's new, right?
Rebecca is new as well.
You can pull sexy any day, man. That's easy.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Of course.
I'm doing it right now.
I know. Hey, if you're not comfortable doing it, that's fine. But I'm always down for a little ad hoc performance.
I would rather just talk this out if that's all right.
Fine.
You want me to hide your face, Brian? Just have the script.
It's fine. I'm ready.
I just zoomed up on your face. Okay. So yeah, I gave Mortimer, I kind of addressed, or rather gave the actor some lines and some acting direction here to be a little slower, which is how I describe him.
Right.
And I like the little clever line that I give Stan.
Well, they can't hear it though because we won't perform
Oh
it,
my God. Come on.
Cleverness, let me tell you. Pure cleverosity. It's cool, man. Yeah.
All
I
right,
like
bro.
it too. People can read it on letswritethismovie.com.
There you go. See? Plenty of opportunity
Page
to plug the
17.
site.
Letswritethismovie.com. Let's not read this or perform this movie, but
Wow.
let's write movie.com.
Wow, Brian, you're killing me over here. All right.
Exterior Porter's General. Oh, sorry.
That's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it.
No, because I'll probably hear something afterwards about it.
I already hit our faces, bro. We got the full screen script up. Let's go.
No, I'll probably mess up every line. That's great. Big talker. Exterior Porter's General Goods. Continuous. The general goods store is busy with all walks of life, coming in and out with the necessities for their day. Stan leans on the wall by the door. The undertaker, Mortimer, help me.
Charon.
Mortimer Caron, 50, a slow, well-meaning man like myself, exits with a box full of nails in hand.
Stan. Afternoon, Mortimer. How's the undertaking business? Mortimer. A little slow, Sheriff. Not sure if I should be grateful for that. Stan. Did I say Mortimer? I did say Mortimer, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Stan. Well, I'm sure business will pick up soon. The only thing you can count on in life is death.
Stan smiles at his own cleverness, but it takes Mortimer a few moments to realize it. Then he smiles big and leaves. As he does, the schoolmistress, Miss Stapleton, 20, approaches.
Miss Stapleton. Sheriff. Stan. Miss Stapleton.
Her eyes brighten, and she blushes.
Miss Stapleton. You know my name? Stan. Well, you're the schoolmistress. I thought it was wise to know the lady teaching our young. She smiles. What are you here for? Miss Stapleton. Oh, just some supplies. I'm teaching the children penmanship, and I need some chalk. I thought I might pick up some... Stan. Yeah, that's mighty nice. Good seeing you.
His attention is drawn to the buxom blonde woman walking his way, dressed in finery with her small hat and parasol. She's dressed to emulate a refined woman, but her corset is a little too tight and her makeup a little too thick. Miss Stapleton sees what Stan is looking at and sulks into the store. The blonde woman, Rebecca Hayes, 25, approaches Stan.
Stan. Rebecca, you are the highlight of my day. Rebecca. Careful, Sheriff. This is how rumors start. You don't want people talking now, do you? Stan. Let them talk all they want, as long as I'm the only one who gets to touch. Rebecca. We'll see about that tonight.
She kisses her fingertip and playfully touches the tip of Stan's nose with it before walking away. Every man she walks by turns to watch her pass. Stan grins and takes his place by the store door once more.
I think that's enough.
Scene.
Okay,
Scene.
great.
See, we got a little sexy in there.
I know. People couldn't see, but I was kind of sashaying in place a little bit as I read, just to get into character.
I didn't see either. I can't look at you while I'm reading. I'll start laughing, so that's not going to happen.
Well,
You want my notes on this, man?
give it to me.
The little thing between Miss Stapleton and Stan where he's talking, and he's like, yeah, that's mighty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Suddenly, I've got this little bit of character between these two. You know, she is enamored with the sheriff. He doesn't care about her. He cares about this other lady.
Right. Exactly. Loved it. I love that we're getting little layers of these people now. And the whole thing with Rebecca kissing his finger and booping him on the nose. Yeah, man, those are my only notes for this. I really just I love it. That's what I was saying. I was reading this through all the stuff that you had really massaged, and then this new edition just fit in really nicely and smoothly. Loved it, dude.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Cool.
So the next, this isn't a really big thing, but let's see here. In the gunfight,
25. Middle of 25.
Yeah. What?
Funny.
What's happening?
What
here?
Mortimer does.
Oh, right. I did add that, didn't I? Well, This is kind of hacky. It's been done many times.
It's still funny.
But that's the thing. It's almost like it's become a staple almost in and of itself, or in its own right. So, and it kind of dovetails nicely with his conversation with Stan earlier where, Stan says, business is going to pick up, So, Siri, what's happening?
Don't you mind anything, Renee.
I never do. You want to read this thing about Mortimer, or?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
So
just in case people can't read it, Mortimer sees the gunfight about to happen. Well, first of all, what I added here is, once again, I wanted to make sure that the characters that the audience just met don't disappear. I want them to know that these characters, they are more or less important to the story because they come up later. And so here we have the pivotal gunfight. This is a big moment that affects everybody. So this could be considered possibly like the inciting incident because it's affecting all of the known characters.
Right.
I reintroduce Miss Stapleton. She's walking down with her supplies and she sees what's happening, ducks behind a corner, but is still watching out of curiosity. Mortimer comes out and he sees the gunfight is beginning. And so he measures, estimates from where his vantage point, like, okay. This guy, which we've seen in many movies already, like Back to the Future 3,
Still fun.
Fistful of Dollars.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun because it happens at a part before it gets really too serious. You know, we hear the little line between the two of them, and then you see it happen, and it's not going to break up any of the action. So I mean, it's like a perfect spot for it.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And then I also reintroduce, or rather give Maggie, Ray, and Tommy, just a quick mention in the action at the bottom of 26, just to show that, hey, they're still here and they're seeing what's happening as well.
Yep.
So there we go.
Yeah, smooth. So before you go to the new edition on 28, just because I've been seeing for the last couple of shows that we've done, this is the first time I've seen your rewrite of this whole scene of the shooting, the shootout. So I thought this was efficient and well done. This whole thing with Bao getting shot, and then all the stuff between Long and the other guys was now condensed, I think from 3 pages, if I remember correctly, to this new one. So I thought it was all there. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian, let me, I really like this, the shootout scene. I don't think people have had a chance to, hear the condensed version.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and read this. I got the full screen up, the full script up here. So it's just going to be me for a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. Why don't you do me a favor? Take about 2 minutes to read it.
Yeah, we'll do. Okay. So this is the shootout, the condensed version. Exterior, Sally's saloon, continuous. A rifle shot hits Bao in the chest as he squeezes his trigger. Bao's bullet grazes Everett across his temple, sending him to the ground. Long is stunned momentarily as he watches his brother fall, but regains his awareness quickly. He senses attackers moving into position around him. Stan on the roof of Porter's, a man with a rifle hiding around a corner, 2 men with pistols behind stacked barrels, another man with a shotgun behind a low fence. The anguish drains from Long's face as his instincts and reflexes take over. He draws both pistols. The inexperience of the posse in a gunfight is apparent, as the men are slow to fire and don't take time to aim. Nevertheless, the errant bullets force Long back into the street every time he moves for cover. Similarly, Long suppresses his attackers with well-aimed and timed shots, especially at Stan, whose hat is shot off the first time he rises out of cover. Every time he tries to take a shot, Long sends a bullet his way. A bullet grazes Long's bicep. Almost without looking, Long returns fire instantaneously, along the same trajectory, killing the shooter. Another bullet nicks Long's ear. Again, without looking, he returns fire along that trajectory, killing another man. Another exchange sends another man down, but Long is grazed in the thigh. The man with the shotgun seizes the opportunity and fires buckshot that clips Long, spinning him to the ground. But even while on his back, Long is deadly accurate and finishes off the man with the shotgun. Without any bullets left, without any bullets left to suppress Stan, Long reloads frantically, flicking the chambers of his revolvers into place. Just as Stan rises, Long unloads all of his bullets. And that is the shorter, condensed version.
Right.
Let me get us back.
Very clean.
So, yeah, now it's reduced to about a page. I think it just moves a lot faster. Leave it to the choreographers to say, to decide how they're going to do all of that. I don't think it's necessary to talk about teeth exploding out of the backs of heads.
They may want to read the novel. It's okay. They can do that.
There you
They
go.
need a little more. They can always talk to the writer. Hey, do you have some thoughts about teeth in this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I did. Glad you asked. So is the next thing on 38?
Let me just pull my script up one more time. Thirty-eight.
The bottom. This is the addition, or this is the movement of the flashback into a dream.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, bottom of 38, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if we need to. Do we need to read this?
I don't think so. I
Oh,
don't think
yeah,
so. I think
because it's mostly action. You don't want to read, Brian.
I'll be more than happy to read Interior Dirty Shack.
You know, it's really short. It's, what is it, like 3 paragraphs?
Yeah. I'll read
If you want, we could just describe it, actually. So, because of Brian's feedback, and I really liked it, you know, he said that it made more sense to have this information, essentially a flashback, happen before Long gets up and talks, you know, kind of waxes. It's not really poetic necessarily, but he shows his softer side while he's in the cell, and you know, it doesn't break up that moment, right? And I thought about it, and that made so much sense. Like, as an audience member, I would want to be there as well. I don't need to be transported in time to another place, because you lose the emotional value that you've set up when, you know, the flashback has, you know, a different range of emotion. You know, the flashback in the last version ended with smiles and, you know, the feeling of adventure on this ship, just to get us thrown back into the cell. Yeah, it didn't read correctly on second or after the discussion. So this, I think, much more powerful. Just to summarize it for everybody, it is a dream sequence. It is essentially a flashback. But the audience won't know. They're just going to know, like, hey, we're seeing something happening 30 years before. Who are these kids? Possibly they are Long and Bao. We're not sure. It's never explicitly said, but it is Long and Bao. So Long has replaced the mother, sleeping on this pile of straw, and he's sleeping face up. And that's important because Long in the cell is also sleeping face up. So when we come back to Long, it can be kind of this match cut where, you know, the kid, 15-year-old Long, starts to wake up when he hears his brother is in trouble, and then Long, the adult Long, you know, gets up in the cell. And I think that can be a very powerful transition. So very quickly, the little brother Bao is you know, he's 5 years old. He's playing with his wooden boat, and he's lost in his imagination, sailing it around in the air. It takes him outside, and this province is just devastated with poverty. And the kid, he's oblivious because he's a kid. He doesn't know any better. Yeah. So the kid's playing with the boat, finds a little dirty puddle. He's playing with the boat in the puddle, and we get these hungry dogs that stalk him. And he doesn't realize it because he's so lost in his imagination. But once the dogs start to attack him, that's when he panics and starts trying to get back to the shack. He's crying out, possibly for his brother, or possibly just crying out. But because Long is so attuned to his family in distress, it starts to rouse him from his sleep. And that's when we match cut to adult Long in the cell. And I just think that I really liked that transition. So that's my thoughts. Brian, what did you think?
Yeah, I did too. I think you took a lot of the backstory that you built and placing into one event. I thought was really intelligent. The way I read it was that this is something that actually took place in the past. And this was an instance where Bao was, you know, in a really poor position, and Long was able to save him. And that juxtaposed with what just happened, and him now not having a chance to save him and actually having him die in his arms, was like really powerful. Because especially because he's having such a flashback. You know, to me, it informed what happened next in the cell so well, and it really built an interesting tension that wasn't there before. You know, that it was much deeper and more resonant. And so, yeah, I was totally on board, and I was like, I thought you were going to kind of take what you wrote before and transfer it here, but what you did in terms of raising the stakes a little bit more, I thought worked really, really well, man. My feedback today has become a lot of, hey, I really like this really well. Sorry, man. I know you wanted the negative feedback. I don't have a lot today. I really liked all the new additions. I'm telling you, these pages really, they read so much easier to me, and all the changes were really in service of the script and in service of, the experience of reading it or watching it. Like I'm totally on board with these changes, man.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So just to touch briefly on, your allusion there, when it comes down to like a kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down scenario, which is kind of what I'm looking for as well, in that I made this change, does it work? Yes or no? There's no real need to not tell me that something is working. So,
Yeah, but I'll wax anyway
okay.
because that's who I am.
Well, what I'm saying is,
That's good.
I do want the criticism because
right.
as I mentioned in an outtake, criticism was what makes me better.
Mm-hmm.
But I also need to know, did this work or not? So, even though it's not, that's the thing. Even if it's a yes, I'll still take that. That's still meaningful to me. That still has value because I don't know if something I've made or I've changed works. So there we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, what was the next big change, Brian?
Well, I think it's basically on the bottom of 42. We're going to get a little bit more of Bill and Bud, and then they're going to have that whole rewrite basically at that point. So, that scene is changed more than anything else.
I did change something a little before that, above the description above the slug line road continuous exterior.
Yeah, that's where I started. Bill and Bud Trek, that one.
Yeah, right above that though. So the streak of the meteorite, I did add that there's dust kind of falling across the town, and people are like, "Oh, this is great! We're amazed. Let's stick our tongue out and taste it," kind of thing, like it's snow.
I thought they were dancing. Weren't they dancing?
Well, of course, people are dancing, but I'm just saying that I think if people are amazed, they do stupid things like,
sure, yeah,
let me rub it in my eyes. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the idea is that this is not something that's happened before, so they don't know what to do and how to react.
Yeah.
But I did like that we saw that, and then it must have been like a page or two later that this happens, and it puts me right back in that exact frame of time.
Right.
How else are you going to show it unless you're splitting the screen? So I thought that was a really good way to do it. And I think before we started in the interior that gets hit, now we're on the exterior and we're seeing it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it fly across, and I think that was really cool. We probably should, since this is all new, perform this, don't you think? Yeah, this is quite a bit different.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have the guttural voices now to work with because Bill and Bud are still friends. Before
right.
Bud was already becoming like this animal. I can taste it.
Is it Bud or Bill? Or Bill or Bud? I can never
Bill
remember.
spits.
It was
Bud.
It was a script joke, man.
I know.
So we'll do bottom of 42 through 40, all of 43, right?
All right, here we go.
Yeah, because then we go back over to Petrov.
All right, Brian, hit me.
Exterior road, continuous. Bill and Bud trek back to their stake. Bill pushes a wheelbarrow while Bill lights the way with a lantern. The wound on his arm somehow looks worse. A stagecoach approaches, and the prospectors step aside. The stagecoach stops. It's
Old Man Prophet. Well, Bud and Bill. Or is it Bill and Bud? I can never remember. Bud. What do you want, Prophet? Old Man Prophet. You know what I want. That stake of yours is worthless in your hands. You don't have the manpower or the gumption to make it profitable. Sell it to me and live your lives. Bill. Your offer's no good. Not when it's a fraction of what we paid. Not when we're about to strike it rich. Old Man Prophet. Listen, boy. The only one getting rich around here is me. You don't want to sell? Fine. Work yourself to death.
He rides away. Bill watches him go and spits, while Bud mutters something under his breath and spits.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why he spits too. Whatever. Everyone is spitting now. They're all spitting.
While Old Man Prophet is out of sight, the prospectors pick up to leave. They stop when they hear a whistling sound. They look around and then slowly up as the environment around them lights up green. A meteorite hurtles overhead and slams into their stake in the distance. Bill and Bud look at each other and then make a dash for the mine. Interior, prospector's stake. Minutes later, the meteorite has punched a hole in the mine ceiling and broken into a million shards that punctuate the walls and floor. They catch the light from Bud's lantern mysteriously, almost as if they're emitting light and glowing.
Bill. What is it, Bud? Bud. I don't know, Bill. They look like gems.
Bill reaches out and touches one. Its sharp edge cuts his hand. He tries again, gingerly, and snaps off a shard.
Bill. A shard. Sorry. Let's try that again. Okay. Bill. Who's Bill? Bill is the spitting one, right? Yeah, okay. Bill, here we go. Bill. Emeralds. These are emeralds. We're gonna be rich.
They hug each other vigorously and begin snapping shards and tossing them into the wheelbarrow. They repeatedly get cut, but it doesn't faze them.
All right.
Dude, you're funny that you picked up on the little one I gave early. I thought I was going to do it. So I'll put this succinctly to you.
Okay.
Every issue I had before has been 100% addressed. And I think it reads very well.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not going to pile on all the the love this time.
No, that's fine. I wasn't sure.
But on your notes, you'll see love it and
great.
like that.
Hearts with arrows through them. Yes. My name in the margin over and over again.
René Glass. Wait.
Okay. Good. So here's the thing. Even though I still want the sci-fi element, like,
yes,
there's something about these shards that came from outer space.
Yeah.
So I hope I didn't tone that out of the script. Like, I toned it down, but I still want it to be this. Could it be that this mysterious rock from outer space has affected everybody with the dust falling? That to me is an inescapable sci-fi trope, and I just want to make sure it's still it still has a little bit of weight in the audience's mind.
Yeah, I don't know if it's drawing too fine a point on it or being too distinctive, but to me it went from being kind of sci-fi to more otherworldly.
Okay.
And I just thought it was the perfect amount of it where I could still see, that they're interpreting something incorrectly, which I thought was really cool because now we're digging into them a little bit. Like, these aren't highly educated people and they're just going to take something that looks like greenish and gem-ish as an emerald, and let's just snap everything off. I loved it. So I think it really plays into the characterization that you drew for these guys and gives you that mysterious kind of otherworldly element.
Okay.
And I don't know if I mentioned this before or if it's something off a note we talked about, but understanding a little bit more of Prophet's interest in their stake, I thought was just a little bit cleaner here too. So why he was interacting with them.
Right. Like, it didn't make sense, or it wasn't quite clear in the last version why Prophet would want a stake that was worthless.
Right.
But for him to describe, that he's the one with the manpower to make this profitable, it added a reason, and I don't know if that reason is accurate, like if it's realistic, but at least it's a believable reason.
Yeah, I think it's realistic to say that they may have bought something, maybe they put all their money into it, but they don't have the manpower literally to mine it, or they don't have the wherewithal or know-how to do it right.
Right.
I think that makes total sense. They're only two guys, whereas he's got this crew of people.
Yeah.
And no, I think it made total sense.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So I think, we did. Okay. So there is a change to the exchange when Bill and Bud come back from the mine with
Yes.
a wheelbarrow full of their gems.
Totally.
So, do we need to perform this? I don't think so. It's very short.
I mean, it ends the same way. There's spit and it's glowing a faint green, if I remember correct.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So,
know, and
Bill
he's like,
and Bud, to summarize, they're not angry with each other.
Right.
Like, they aren't affected yet by whatever the things are that are affecting people. So, instead, Zeke surprises them. And, Bill, he's chewing his tobacco. He spits. He almost hits Zeke. They don't realize it. And this is how the interaction plays out with Zeke. Why it begins at all, because Zeke almost gets spat on.
right. Disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. and and Bill, he chews tobacco because it's cheap. Whereas now that he thinks he's going to be rich, he's like, yeah, I'm going to quit tomorrow. I'm going to get me a $10 cigar.
Right.
And, Bud's talking about how he's going to spend his money. So,
right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but definitely brought in that cool element to it now. So honestly, I look for it in terms of, the story you're trying to tell. Am I getting pulled out for any reason? And I'm like, nope. This is like, it's just weird enough that it belongs in the movie and seems like it just seems more poignant.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, is there anything else you want to discuss before we get into the performance?
So the performance starts
right here.
Right exterior Sally Saloon.
Yes.
Right? The continuous one? Okay. Yeah, we can go. No, I don't have anything else really before that. I have one note, but it's not for something you redid. I can give it to you now if you want.
Let's do it.
Not that it's in order or anything, but this is actually way back on I have two notes, way back, way back.
Okay.
On page 2.
Oh my God.
So go back to page 2 in the middle.
All right.
And I didn't do my due diligence, but Masked Man 1, which is long, didn't he say something like, I'll have you back on your way post haste?
It's gone now.
Oh, I like that.
Here's the thing. One of the things I changed is one of my concerns a few episodes ago was that Long sounded too educated here in the beginning.
Too aristocratic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the reason he sounded that way is because I had a different kind of character for him. Like I had discussed previously, I wanted him to be fully integrated, where he had kind of a Southern accent, had no Chinese accent at all, and that doesn't carry through for the rest of the movie. So had to go back and trim it down.
Yeah, but if they get like Keanu Reeves to play it, to play the Asian guy, he'll start off with the accent on the first page and lose it anyway. So it's there.
I apologize for the delay.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The other thing is on page 6, and this is just a little tweak. So this is the discussion between Sam and Long. They're talking towards the top, and we have the little description that says, Long looks up at the passenger car windows and sees curious faces peeking out. He tries his pistol on them, and they scurry away. I was just thinking, I kind of like that Long has that, I wouldn't say supernatural, but he's got that that ability to really, kind of find where the target is very quickly without spending a lot of time looking, just to kind of make it more maybe superhumanish in a way.
Without looking, he shoots up.
Not shoots up, but he notices something out of the corner of his eye and he points the gun at him without looking.
Okay.
And then they bristle away. That he's just like carrying on his conversation with Sam as this is happening, and he's just like, don't even waste my time.
Yeah. No, totally. I think that
small.
would be nice foreshadowing for the gunfight. So
right, exactly. And that was it before we get to the new stuff, man.
All
Just
right.
a couple little notes.
Let's get back to the new stuff.
All right. Tell me when you're ready to perform. Unfortunately, Sally has no lines, so that's always a shame for me.
I'm going to give her a monologue later, just for you, Brian. 2 pages worth.
Exactly. That's all you hear. What was that, Renee?
It's a song I wrote just for you, Brian.
All right. Shall we?
Okay, hang on. Boom. So we are...
Middle of 46.
Do it.
Exterior, Sally Saloon, continuous. Stan looks in through the window and sees a raucous crowd. Not seeing anything wrong, he turns around and crosses the street to the Nine Lives. Interior, Nine Lives, continuous. The vibe inside is more subdued and refined. The men here are quieter, opting to listen to the women's whispers instead. A small band plays a whimsical tune as a burlesque show takes place on stage. The girls are all dressed the same. The girls all place their giant feather fans in the center, then pull them away dramatically, revealing Rebecca sporting a scintillating short dress. She's obviously the star. She spots Stan at the bar and winks. He smiles back. Exterior, Fort Bliss, night. The soldiers from Epitaph ride up to the watch by the gate. Torches on walls cast pools of light in the unending darkness of the desert. The watch commander approaches.
Watch commander. State your business. Soldier number 1. Yes, sir. We come from Epitaph. Half a day's ride from here. Watch commander. I know it. Go on. Soldier number 1. Well, sir, we got a soldier that came down with something awful. The local doctor couldn't fix him, so we thought we'd bring him here. But he passed a few hours ago. The fort was closer than town, so we came here.
One of the men on watch walks to the back of the cart and flips the blanket back. The sick soldier is dead. The watchman nods at the watch commander.
Watch commander. Bring him in. Put him in the infirmary for now. Then get some chow. We'll let the lieutenant major decide what to do next when he arrives in the morning.
Interior, Fort Bliss, infirmary, minutes later. The soldiers from Epitaph carry the body still wrapped in a blanket and lay it on a table. They exit. The corpse lies there, in silence, completely motionless. Interior, undertakers, continuous. Mortimer submerges his rag into the bucket of water that he fetched from the water pump. He uses the rag to wipe the blood off a naked body splayed out on the table. Other naked bodies show that they have been recently cleaned. They don't move. Interior, old shack, continuous. The old man who bought the waters of life from Petrov dangles the bottle in front of his roommate, another old man. The first old man laughs malevolently as he snatches the bottle away and downs it. He lies down on the cot to sleep. The other old man makes a face and goes to his cot to sleep. Interior, modest bedroom, continuous. The homely woman who bought the love potion holds it to her chest, shuts her eyes, and breathes deeply before drinking it. She sets the bottle down next to a small framed portrait on her nightstand and smiles. She blows out a candle. Interior, neat bedroom, continuous. A match is struck and it lights a small lantern, revealing Miss Stapleton in her bedroom. She opens a book and begins reading it in bed. She reaches over to a wooden cup and drinks some water. She frowns at the taste, but finishes it.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. The big setup. Like, oh!
Yeah, so really quickly, I know you have some feedback here, but I thought about this after I finished the sequence. There's more to it because I still have to show Bud and Bill, sleeping in their bed, and they're both starting to get affected by the things.
Right.
Like maybe they're kind of feverish as they're trying to sleep. So as I started to think about how these scenes would cut together, I kind of like, we start off in the infirmary, and maybe instead of me talking about how the corpse is motionless, maybe an arm of the corpse on the table like slips out and just dangles, right? And then we cut to the Undertaker, and Mortimer reaches down to, or maybe it's almost like surreal where it's the same scene. There are no cuts, right? Mortimer walks in and lifts that arm and puts it on the table, and we see that we're no longer in the infirmary. We're actually in Mortimer's. And this is an arm of a body that he's working on as he's walking by, right, with his bucket. Does this make sense, Brian, how I'm describing it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That way, there's always this one little element that's tying all of these little sequences together. Now, I know that probably won't work for every little thing here.
Right.
And one more thing I forgot to write in here is that I needed to show in Mortimer's that instead of showing a lot of naked bodies, I should show a lot of clothed bodies to show that there are still a lot of people to work on. And one of them needs to be Bao, because in order for the last one of the later sequences to work, Bao has to be still in his clothes with the dynamite in his belt.
Okay. Yeah, plus it'd be good to see him there too.
Yeah.
Because we've been without him for a number of minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So now to see him against, like that guy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So the reason I thought about, sorry, just really quickly, the reason I thought about this kind of like montage of like similar actions bleeding into other scenes of different people. I was reminded. Did you ever see Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not to get into too much detail, I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen it. But towards the end, there's a montage of all the characters as the movie's kind of winding down. And one thing that ties all of their disparate scenes is the different characters turning left in their bed. Like they're all going to sleep and they all turn left. Like they all turn on their side to sleep. And I don't know why that was the choice that the director or the writer-director actually, chose to make. But it was just something I noticed. And it did add a little bit of like cohesion to all of these scenes. And,
right.
If I can have a little bit of that element here, then why not?
Right. No, I think that's a good idea. I'm sure that if it was in the hand, that was Aronofsky, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure if this was in his hands, he probably would do something like that anyway. But I think it's a cool, I think there are ways to do it on the page as well. But I'm just wondering how you do that. I mean, like you could definitely tie in, you can go from like the bucket that Mortimer has to the water that the homely woman is. I'm sorry, not the homely woman, but that Miss Stapleton is drinking. You know what I mean? You can kind of go into there, to that bucket and then pop into her cup as an example. But they're all. I mean, since we've never really nailed down which one of these is the trigger, or if all of them are a trigger, it's almost like they have to be in like couplets or something, where maybe the two love potions, like you have them together,
right?
Or are together like they are, but maybe the water ones are together. I'm not sure how you do that exactly, but I think it's a good idea to have that as a through line through this section. I mean, honestly, as I read it, I was just thinking, well, a director's probably going to make some interesting choices here, but to me on the page, I can't remember what I was listening to, but it was some podcast where they're talking. Oh, I know what it was. It was, they're making the podcast Homecoming into the TV show.
Yeah.
So now what they're doing as part of this is on the podcast feed, they're putting in basically kind of like a 4-part series about the making of, like how did it transition from the podcast to the script. And my God, it is super, super interesting. But one of the things you hear is like the set designer talking. She's like, well, I only had this to work with, so I thought I'd just do this, and where she took something small and just made it into this very elaborate type of environment because that's their job. It's like, well, at some point, it's kind of like, that whole shift that you made with the shootout. It's the same idea where it's like, they're going to make a lot of choices, and what you wrote down as a page may end up being a 5-minute fight. You never know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. Or even like I said, I really think you should play down the sci-fi element in a different director's hands. That could be the main thing that they want to push. You never know,
exactly.
What I mean? But anyway, on their own, I thought it was really cool reading the montage, because at this point it's kind of solidifying that idea of, I don't know what it is. I may think I know what it is, but the more thought I put into this, I don't know which one of these or a combination of these is doing it. And to see them all back to back now, I thought that was really cool.
Fantastic.
This is gonna be another section of great job, Renee.
Okay. Well, good.
You're gonna love these notes. I'm like, well, there's nothing really to do now. Now I have no excuse. I just gotta write 10 more pages because there are no rewrites to do at this point.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, buddy.
No, it's fine. What's nice about this sequence that we're in so far, or currently, they're short, and this is one of the more solid areas of the treatment that we discussed. Mm-hmm. So, it's just a matter of getting it on paper. But I know how it's going to play out. So One thing that if you feel like researching it for me, Brian, I just
Yep.
chose this rank for the fort commander,
Okay.
which is I think Lieutenant Major,
Lieutenant.
and I don't know if that is the correct. Yeah, Lieutenant Major. Here we are. I don't know if that is the correct rank, or rather a believable rank for someone
Okay.
who is the commanding officer at a fort during this period.
All right. I have no problem doing that. One other little thing when Stan looks through the window at Sally's saloon after the cheer and then walks over to Nine Lives, it was a nice little cohesive element also. Because, that's another thing where a director's going to take that and he's going to be walking down the street, hears something, does that, and kind of mulling things over. He's fixing his shirt because he's about to go into Nine Lives or whatever.
Totally.
But it's a nice transition again.
Yeah.
Rather than just having these things back to back, where am I? No, he's actually going to take you right there. He's going to look at Sally's. He's going to take you right over to Nine Lives now. And little touches like that, man. I think you had some inspiration this week because all your little changes made so much sense. Love, 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 love.
Heart with an arrow. All right, man. Well, great. I felt pretty good. I'm glad I went back through the pages to kind of shore things up and just realign my mind with where the script was and where it's going. We'll probably have to have another milestone episode in another 40 pages or so, just to make sure we're still on track. But I feel pretty good.
Yeah, man, I do too. My one note at the end of this was arg, I want to read the turn. You know what I mean? I'm like waiting for it now. Come on, man. Stop teasing me, Renee. Stop teasing me.
Yeah,
Please
and
don't
so
make that a standalone episode.
that's the other thing. I wasn't sure how the turn, originally, I was thinking the turn would be kind of in phases. But as I was writing this, I thought, you know what? I think it makes easier viewing if we can have the turn happen after a particular moment. And that's when we can decide, or the audience can decide, well, was it this particular thing or was it all of these other things? Rather than, say, oh, well, this guy started turning before this event happened, so this event couldn't have affected this guy. So we kind of have to have all of the variables take place before people start turning.
Yeah. No, I like this. I like it this way. I think
Okay.
it just makes a lot of sense.
Wait a second.
The cut?
What?
You're thinking about Bill and or whatever. The arm, or what
No. I'm thinking about the soldier in the fort, because this is the thing that's destroying what I just said.
He died already.
A, he died, and B, he already kind of had these zombie symptoms beforehand. So this is the one variable that doesn't fit what I just said. And I need him. No, he can. Okay, never mind. He can rise after the last thing that I need to happen, which is the Indian bandit dying and cursing everybody. Okay. Oh, yeah, this works perfectly. It works perfectly. Indian bandit's going to die in Epitaph, and then we can cut to the fort. And, the soldiers that brought the dead soldier in,
Yeah.
they can be waking up, they walk into the hallway, and down at the other end of the hallway, they see their buddy just shuffling away. Like, oh, he's not dead, he's alive. And then once they come up to him, he turns around. Ah! Ah!
Are you going to write that?
I'm just going to make my face, take a picture of my face, put it in the script. Ah!
I love it. I love it. Cool, man. Solid 48.